Welcome to Project 308, part number 24. My name is Trottier. This is my car. And you know, I was thinking, I think I may have made a mistake right from the very get-go on how to proceed with this car. More on that in a minute.
Until then, let's get caught up on some general housekeeping. Like taking care of this passenger side rotor that I completely forgot about. Separating the driver's side hub from its rotor was kind of a pain. So let's give it a little bit of help with the press. That did exactly what I wanted it to. Just give it a little nudge, and now it comes out nice and easy. Several of you have asked what this little gizmo is right here. Very simple device. It's a spring-loaded vibration dampener made out of 2 brass blocks. It really works well. Didn't come with the machine originally. We added it on.
You know, I never actually took automotive in high school. I took it in trade school, but it's the same story. It's the story of Johnny in the corner learning to repack a bearing. You know, you had to clean it, and then you had to repack it, but it was the cleaning that always got Johnny into trouble, because Johnny would be like, and that's a very distinctive noise. Now, don't do this at home. I'm a trained professional. But the theory being is that the bearing would stick on your hand, it would dry up because there's no grease on it, and then it would literally rip your fingers off, and then you'd have blood spurting everywhere because you'd have no fingers and you'd die or something like that. But anyways, the reason I mention this is because it's reminding me of history. It's a history lesson, because I actually haven't repacked a bearing in years. Well, that's a lie. I guess I've done a couple trailers, but for the most part, a car bearing, this is like ancient history.
This strange-looking contraption is the driver's side blower motor. Don't ask me what it's doing up here in the front bumper / wheel well area.
What's that, dude? You have gas in your stomach? Is it staying in your stomach? It's not staying in your stomach. You know, the best thing about that sentence is I'm pretty sure the world is about to know you have gas in your stomach.
Continuing on my journey to clean up stuff, here's the front left bumper shock. Yeah, it's going in the garbage. I got a new one.
Hey, you touched something alright. You touched something alright. Just not get into that. Okay, now, hold your hand up in the air and show Lou what you got. No, hold your hand up in the air and show Lou what you got.
He said ½ inch, dude, not 3/8.
You didn't know until I said that.
Terry's giving the young fellow Milto a hard time because that's what Terry does.
You can't remember what tools are, but I'm saying them for you.
I know.
On the floor. On the floor. On the earth.
Another piece going in the garbage are these brake flex lines. A little bit difficult to get off, but nothing horrible. But I direct your attention to the top of your screen where you see all that corrosion. I know it looks bad, but it's actually not. It's pretty light surface corrosion, and I'm about to treat it chemically after I clean it and put some undercoating on it to protect it. question I get frequently is, why didn't I dry ice to blast the bottom side of this car? Everybody saw it on Radarosa's channel and said, if he can do it, why don't you do it, Lou? Well, I looked into it. Of course I did. And most of the places were like, bring it to us. And I don't think it's that popular in the Toronto area yet. And the rest of them, like one or two guys, said, well, I'll come out and do it for you, but I want a couple grand to do it, and I can't guarantee this, and I can't guarantee that. And I'm like, well, I might as well just do it myself. I'm 1/3 of the way through. I'm just gonna keep doing it the angry, messy way. Next car though, next Ferrari, I'll do it the other way. My pal Lawrence, you know, the guy who painted my car. When he saw the video of me doing this exact same thing to the back end of the car, he didn't like it. And he gave me shit. He said I didn't cover his paint well enough. Well, this is for you, Lawrence. So I have run out of the undercoating high build filler, so I'm stuck until I get some in here. Right now we're going to take a look at these two blower motors on the 308s. They have two separate blowers, a right and a left. And I'm not holding much faith that these are going to be any good because they're pretty rough looking. This one feels pretty stiff. This one, the housing's cracked pretty good. But we're just going to see if the blowers work. And then if the blowers work, then I'll rethink my process. I'd say this one's had seen better days. So this one here with the cracked housing has the good motor. And this one here with the good housing has the bad motor. Well, this housing isn't good. Excuse me. This is broken there. See what cleans up. After examining this half of the housing, it looks salvageable. At least it's close enough that it's worth a try. And being a mechanic, you know, sometimes, not very often, but sometimes we break things. And anybody that's worked in this trade knows we get real good at gluing crap. And while I didn't break this, damn it, I'm gonna fix it. Because these things are like $200 to $300 each. In order to really make this an effective repair, I'm going to epoxy it, and then I'm going to bolt it down to my table and let it sit overnight so that it can't move and it's really clamped together well. No epoxy yet, I'm trial fitting. I'm making sure my clamping method's gonna work. It's like a trial fit. I put the plastic bag underneath because, you know what, plastic really doesn't stick that well to this stuff. And while I'm waiting for the glue to dry, instead of watching glue dry like watching paint dry, I'm going to clean this other housing, and then I'm heading home for the night. That turned out really well. And now I'm just going to add a bit more epoxy to the inside only, just as like a security sort of measure. Make sure it's really glued well. And keep in mind on the inside it's not going to be seen, nor is it going to be in contact with the blade at all. Fingers crossed, this is the clamp right beside the crack. Come on. This other side is not looking good. Alright, so I'm confident I have saved one good, one bad. So I'm going to replace the passenger side. It's literally, metal is falling out of it.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. My hair used to have a mind of its own. Some good stuff in it that actually gets inside your hair to make it look healthier, stronger.
Before I put this blower motor back in the car, I'm just going to do one more test on it here on the bench, and I'm going to hook up my oscilloscope to it and see what kind of wave pattern I get. See if the armature and the commutator and everything seems to be reasonably working reasonably well, and there's no clear dropouts, meaning I've got a dead winding or something like that. Alright, so I'm going to start off with this DC regulated power supply. It's regulated to 5 amps, 13.8 volts. It's meant to kind of simulate an automotive circuit. Just hook that up over to the motor over here. Simple on, off. Over here I have an amp clamp. It's meant to pick up the amount of current that's pulsing through this line. Over here to my little interface there, Autel 4-channel lab scope. We're only using channel A. That unit over there puts out 100 millivolts per amp. So it's basically a current ramp detection device. It's sensing the current ramping in that wire, which is just going to my blower motor. For every amp that it sees, it produces 100 millivolts. As with any circuit that involves a motor, the moment you flip the switch, it has a massive initial draw. And then you can watch the current slowly settle down as the motor gets up to full speed. Pattern looks reasonable, not desperately perfect, but I'm sure when it was new it had a much more defined scale, or a much more defined pattern, but I don't see any dead spots on the commutator, which is what I was looking for, because it would be a clear flat. If I had a dead spot, I would see a clear boom and then back up. So good enough is what I'm going to call that. Oops, I almost forgot. This unit is drawing approximately 2.75-ish amps. Remember, 100 millivolts equals 1 amp. So back to my original question, what did I do wrong? Well, in order to understand that, you have to go back 30 years. 30 years ago, 29 to be exact, I started my automotive career as a Honda technician, factory-trained Honda technician. It means I spent the first half dozen years of my professional career fixing Hondas at a dealership level. And anybody who has worked in the trade knows that when you work flat rate, and flat rate is piecemeal, you get paid for what you do, you have to be good,
but you also have to be fast. And that fast mentality has been carried on throughout my career. When everything is about being fast, you kind of develop a different mentality. And this is why I haven't really done any restoration or classic car work in the past, is because it didn't really fit in with the business structure. We fix cars on a daily basis. People want to drop their car off at 8 a.m., pick it up at 5:30. But Project 308 has really changed the way I think. When the car first came into my life, I didn't think of it as a piece of rolling history or rolling art. I just thought of it as another car, a cool car that needed some love, and I was gonna whip through it, get it back on the road, and enjoy it for a few years. And then I started enjoying the process. The process of not being on a timetable, not having to answer to somebody else saying, when is my car ready? And I've discovered I actually love that. And I even love making the videos that I'm making for you right now. It slows me down even further and allows me to really get into the work and see it from a microscopic level, because I know I'm going to be scrutinized by everybody. So I'm really spending the time. Despite what it sounds like, I have no regrets about doing the paint job first. It has really inspired me to bring the level of workmanship up to meet this fantastic paint job that Lawrence did. I'm really struggling with maintaining that paint job. It's slowing me down even further, but I'm getting there. So if I had to do it over again, if there wasn't a global pandemic going on, well, yes, I think I would have done it completely different. But here I am, I have regrets, and I'm living with them. But that's not going to stop me from doing a fantastic job on this car. And thank you for staying with me so far.